Welcome to Mindfulness Manufacturing. My name is Trevor Blondeel. Spending 25 years in manufacturing, I discovered the real impact we have on turnover, communication, and the ability to manage change is how we show up. That's the essence of emotional intelligence. In each episode, we bring a guest or message to expand your skills, engage your people, and grow your organization. So let's jump in. When you're on LinkedIn and you're on social media, you're always looking for those different inspirational messages, maybe that different entrepreneur that will inspire you in a different way. It's not easy to find them. And Dave Baker has introduced us to Joel Davis, and he started his own construction company, age of 17 and coming up on his 25th year, and has grown this into 3 divisions of industrial services, new terrain grading, and J. Davis Construction. He is the owner. He started it with 1 employee and has grown it to over 100 with a great presence in South Carolina. And welcome to the show, Joel.
Well, thank you, Trevor. I appreciate the invitation. That's a great introduction.
So I got to understand, I've been looking on your website. I always like to do some research, but I don't see construction companies so focused on their people. Like how are you staying focused on so much on your people? I see you're recruiting. I see that you're hiring and getting people when maybe other companies are struggling. What is all this focus on your people?
Well, I appreciate that. I learned about halfway through my career that life was short, and that you spend more time with the people that you work with than sometimes you do your own families. And so I realized that you get a lot of satisfaction out of providing a service, no matter what you're involved with. But what's truly rewarding is when you have a positive impact on your employees and the people that surround you. And all of a sudden, then your job doesn't become a job. You enjoy it. It's something you look forward to. And so, we have our challenges just like any other organization, but honestly, I look forward every day to coming to work to where I see my people grow, both professionally, but personally as well.
So we both grew up on a farm. I was more of a tree farm. You were in South Carolina, and it does kind of shape you in a certain way. Like you said, when you got to 5 o'clock in the morning, you don't have a choice. You got to go out there and you got a farm to take care of. How much of that background, kind of created this whole, mantra for your company about your people? Because a lot of times when we start these companies, we want to make some money, right? And then they just goes on, and the purpose is about making money. But at some point, things kind of fall off the rails when you research successful companies, and it's only about profits. So what switched you to maybe wanting to make some money at the age of 17 into, whoa, this is an infinite game?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of ways to answer that, Trevor. I like growing up on a farm, you don't clock in at 8 o'clock and clock out at 5 o'clock. You've got a role to play, and you have to get the job done. And even if it's late in the evening, but there was a lot of value I learned growing up on a farm, and it was not just work ethic, but also, I mean, you got to do a little bit of plumbing, you got to do electrical work, you've got to deal with animals. I mean, there's different trades all over the farm. So it exposed me to a lot of things that I now see in the construction industry. And I realized I enjoyed working, enjoyed making money. And so local farmers in the area, they needed other services such as barns being built, which turned into metal buildings, which really got us more involved in commercial construction. So it really evolved without a real strategic plan. It was basically a neighbor telling a neighbor. And to your point about purpose, you realize some people come to work every day just to make money. I think that as you get older, you realize that making money is not as satisfying as other parts of being involved in a community or in an industry or in a company. And we changed our focus, honestly. We have to be profitable, but about 10 years ago, we changed our mission statement from a typical mission statement that was, we provide quality construction service, to we want to have a positive influence. And actually gained some insight from John Maxwell. I strongly encourage any listener to listen to some of John Maxwell's leadership. But, we went through a book called 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. And in that book, it really asks you, what is your purpose? Kind of like Rick Warren's purpose-driven life. Mm-hmm. And then you realize that I feel like we're all, in my opinion, we're all provided with different God-given talents. And how we use those talents is what our true purpose is. So construction is just an avenue that I'm able to, I feel like, be around a lot of great people. And I wake up every morning not looking for challenges, but looking at them as growth opportunities. And, we have a turnover rate of less than 5%. Really proud of that, which is really low for especially the construction industry. And I think it's because if you asked our employees, our leadership truly cares about our employees. If we have an employee in the hospital, we're going to call and check on them. We celebrate birthdays at every monthly safety meeting. We even close our safety meetings with a devotional. And so, it's apparent, it's not a show, that we care about the people. And we're not the highest paid construction firm. We try to pay above average, but we're in a little bit of a rural area, and we still do a lot of smaller projects, and we have to be very competitive. And so people actually quit a lot of higher paying jobs to come work for us because they realize how short life can be. And if you're not having fun, sometimes there's not enough money to be made in it. So again, we have to be profitable, but I think if you talk to our employees or our customers or our subcontractors, they all know that we're fair and honest and enjoyable to be around. So we make mistakes, but if we make a mistake, we make it right. We don't get politics involved in our company if we can help it.
I haven't heard that. That's a great phrase. After 15 years, and obviously you evolved to this, and it's in you. I can hear it in your voice, Joel, but construction is more of an avenue to work with great people, right? Construction is not the base. The base is working with those people and impacting, 100 families plus and growing. I love that. And I looked at LinkedIn and I saw one of your HR connections there talking about, said, thanks for being a genuine and transparent role model. I don't see that a lot in owners being described as transparent. Why would she say that? What does this transparency in your organization look like?
Well, I don't know if I've actually seen that comment, but I'm curious now who may have said it. But I want to be real. Life is, like I said, too short to put on a show. What you see is what you get with me. And I want to be known as one who, has integrity and has, we have an open door policy. Any employee, from a labor position all the way to a leader can come in my office and sit down and talk to me about anything. And, that becomes a challenge if you have to deal with non-performance, but it also creates a way for people to come in and just talk about life, And so I think that's been lost in a lot of industry, that people are so focused on being profitable and they're so overworked that they forget that it's people that make a difference. And so anybody can buy trucks, anybody can buy buildings, anybody can buy tools and make a product. But if you don't care about your people, you're not going to really separate yourself from your competition. So I hope I answered your question. I'm a pretty transparent person.
I love it. So what's your challenges then, Joel? Because I understand, the connection and the open door, but I also understand someone like yourself has so many people pulling you in so many different directions. And mindfulness, you got to stay grounded, what do you do personally to kind of stay grounded? Because there's so many companies that will say that as their mission statement, but they're not really getting the traction from their people because it's more of what they say, less of what they do. How do you keep your actions aligned with your mindset?
Well, I make a lot of mistakes. I'm not. I don't think any of us are who we want to be. But every morning I read a devotional. I try to keep the focus on keep the big thing the big thing. Keep my focus on doing the right thing. If I make a mistake, I try to make it right. I never want to hurt someone's reputation in a public environment. I want to sit down one-on-one with somebody if I have an issue with them. I mean, it's just all the same traits your mother should have taught you, that you just treat people with respect. Our core values are respect, innovation, safety, and ethics. And so they're in that order just because they line up with RISE, R-I-S-E. But where they're memorable, but respect is just as important as safety, And so I feel like that anyone can do anything if they put their mind to it. And so sitting down with an employee that needs to improve in a scenario, I always feel like anyone can do anything. So
your hires, I'm curious, because when you get something going like this, do you have a lot of people getting hired through references from your employees?
Absolutely. In fact, that's as we were growing, you asked me about challenges. I mean, obviously we have the same challenge as anyone. I don't have a problem with our employees. I have a problem with finding more people like our employees, obviously. I've read some books and talked to different people, and going through a Chick-fil-A one day, I asked a manager, or actually the owner of a Chick-fil-A, I said, I want to know how you hire your people. What are the questions? What are the ways that you get these quality people? Because everybody knows that part of the benefit of going to Chick-fil-A is it's a pleasure to be served. Mm-hmm. And so the owner of that Chick-fil-A said, well, it's basically just the other folks in the building or that we've hired. They recommend people from their church groups or from the places, their friends, and they're the same type of people. And so when I first started my company, I focused on resumes. I focused on experience, education. I wanted to hire people that were the smartest and most experienced, and didn't always have success with that. And so we actually changed our interview process to let's focus on the person. Let's focus on the core values. Let's focus on the people skills and the ways that they communicate. And are they all about themselves or are they about a team? One person told me that you should only hire people who say their favorite sport in an interview is a team type sport. I don't have anything against golf, but typically team type sports are people that work as a team. And so, we hire people who want to be part of a team and who have the right culture first. We can train construction to about anyone. It's hard to train culture.
That is a different mindset for an owner of a construction company. Not used to hearing that, Joel. I love it. How are you filling your spots, right now? Are you getting some traction on, because this is 4 million people a month are leaving the workforce. You're in a situation of say, hey, come join us. Come into the workforce because we're about people. And how is that going right now?
Well, it is a more challenging environment, obviously, than it has been. I actually spend part of my time focused on recruiting. If I delegate that, then to me, it's something that's very important for me to be part of. But recruiting is a challenge. How are we getting those people now? I would say the number one is referrals from our existing employees. We have the most success from that. We use all the other avenues from LinkedIn and Indeed and those that come that way. But we have a lot of success with social media. We encourage our employees to use social media and to share our posts. And so, if I share a post like I did yesterday for 2 positions, it'll touch several thousand people by the end of the day. And generally those are acquaintances of employees or myself. So it's a great way to get the same type of people that you're looking for.
Yeah, it comes right back to that whole transparency. When you're open like that, like you're not afraid to have people share stuff on social media about your company. There are a lot of companies, Joel, that like, oh, well, we don't want our employees to come on a podcast or talk about it because we're more private, right? And we don't want to say the wrong things. But you just said you make mistakes, and that's okay. And if I was working for you, I'd probably feel safer to take a couple risks because, hey, I know my owner makes some mistakes. But do we wake up with the right intentions? Are we learning from our mistakes? Are we open to say, hey, I did make a mistake. I need to talk about this. For our listeners, if you're looking to work in South Carolina, check out Joel's video, which I'll put a link to. And one of the things I caught off there is when you're engaged, you can grow. Tell me more about that.
Well, so the video was awesome. We started our first website, or 6 years ago, we redid our website, and we realized that our challenge wasn't going to be getting more business. It was going to be getting the right people to help us do the business that we were able to get. And so we spent an equal amount of money on a video to talk about our culture as we did a video to talk about the services we offer, more of an advertising. And it was really successful. And it was successful not because I had any part in it, but because my employees were the video. And so, when employees tell publicly what it's like to work here, people take that and to the bank instead of a boss saying it's this way. So we did the same thing this time. We wanted it to be focused on our employees, and that's who we are. I mean, the video is real. They did a phenomenal job with the quality of it and making a redneck like me look a little better. But it was a really just a great way to talk about our culture. And
I think that's why I loved it, right? I mean, you haven't used the word authentic. It becomes a buzzword. But when I started watching that and I'm listening, it's kind of like, oh, this guy's just speaking. Like this is not a movie clip. These are not actors. This is just, hey, this is who we are. And hey, it's so hard to put on a show, right? To try to be somebody that people want you to be. And it's so easy to be Joel Davis.
It doesn't feel that way every day, but it's a whole lot easier to be yourself. And you get to a point in life where, like I said, I mean, if I had one thing I wanted listeners to take away is, what is the influence you're having on other people? Are they a better person by knowing you? And if your true intention is for them to be a better person, then you got to be yourself. You got to break down the walls. You got to share personal experiences. We all see it on TV, but we put on a show sometimes when we get in the corporate world. And to me, I want my legacy to be that I have had a positive impact on as many people as I possibly can, which means we can't stop growing. Some people say, why are you trying to do so much? Why are you opening offices in Charleston and working across the state? Well, to me, that's my mission. I want to have a positive impact on as many people as I can while I'm able to. And so, I think that genuine approach works because I hire like-minded people to be my managers. If they don't match our culture, our managers will not last long. I don't care how much money they can make us. It's just not worth it. If you don't operate with integrity in this company, you're not going to be here very long. If you make a mistake, we can deal with that. We can fix a mistake. But if you're just honest and transparent and truly care, then we'll make money eventually. And that's what we've been able to do.
Well, Joel, you're already leaving some great nuggets for our listeners that, hey, you can, and that might have to be the title of this podcast is, construction's a vehicle to serve people. It's just, there's just no limit to what you can do when you're focused on the right things. There's a lot of science and research, but you don't need that. You just need to have a conversation with you, and you can hear that. You don't start something like this on your own. You do it through other people. And I don't understand. I get confused when I see such a variety of, say, construction companies and how they run and how they treat their people and where they're at. And I think everybody you were born on this farm. There's a certain part in you, but then I also believe that you're bringing in people, and you must bring in people that have good core values, but then how do you get them onboarded? Yeah. How do you do that?
Well, an avenue a company can create that is not much different than how you spend time with your wife. So typically, if my wife and I aren't getting along, it's because I haven't spent enough time with them. And so we have to create opportunities to fellowship. And so we do that with a monthly safety meeting. We do that with lunch and learns. We do that with training, but we are intentional about creating an opportunity for folks to spend time with each other in fellowship. And so that's why I have a real hard time with trying to figure out a way to allow people to work from home. If we're going to have a team, we've got to work together. We've got to interact with, we're humans. That's what humans do. They have to interact. That's community. And so, to me, if you want to maintain a culture, you have to create opportunities for folks to have that fellowship, to have that personal interaction, to learn about the soccer championship, to learn about the health issue in the family, to build that personal relationship. And you can't do that if you don't create the opportunity just doing your job every day.
You just already answered my next question, where I see a lot of community involvement. And a lot of times it's kind of like, hey, we're busy. We can't necessarily, be engaged with the community all the time because community is counting on us for this construction. What keeps driving the community involvement with your company? Because I don't see that in a lot of companies.
Well, that's a great question. So, I believe in the Bible, and the Bible says you need to give 10% away, 10% of your tithes. And so if I truly believe that, then that's really where that started. We'd look at our year end and say, well, we need to give 10%. Well, so all of a sudden that morphed into a decent amount of money. We could support a lot of different organizations. And so we've been proud to be part of a lot of nonprofit organizations that we share, and that keeps that mindset. Just like the Christmas time isn't about getting, it's about giving, right? And so it teaches people to do for others. And so we have paid employees to do nonprofit projects. We have a committee that actually listens for opportunities, to whether it be a handicapped wheelchair ramp or helping an elderly couple or even supporting a local business. And they do those things. And by doing that and helping others, it keeps that mindset that we're here, to be a positive impact.
From the Bible to Napoleon Hill and Think and Grow Rich, there's all these, and that was written in the 40s. There's all these concepts around there's a world of abundance, and the more that you give, you're going to get back. And that's just kind of the formula. Yet in the end of 2021, with everything we've gone through the last couple of years, there just seems to be so much anxiety in our community about a lack of. What would you say you could leave our listeners with, Joel, if maybe they're not in a company that's in that mindset right now? What's one thing that our listeners could do today to help build off of what you've learned and you've shared with us today?
I think you need to think about what are your priorities in life? What do you want to be remembered as? What do you want? On a tombstone, there is a beginning date and an end date. In between that is a dash. And so what do you want your dash to be? What is important to you? And I can promise you that there won't be a truck behind your hearse that is full of money. You can't take any. And so if you remain focused on helping other people, then you're going to be fine financially. You're going to be happier. You'll sleep better at night. I think it's each person needs to think about, what are my God-given talents and how can I use those to have a positive impact?
I'm glad we got this recorded because I need to listen to that again. That is awesome, Joel. And it even makes me rethink right now. It's because if we're not intentional, we're going to slip. So I'll leave everybody with, what is your dash on your tombstone dates? And I think that right there is just something great to leave with. Joel, your time's so precious and you gave more to our listeners today. Thank you so much for what you do, what you represent, the people that you serve in your community, and helping people be more mindful in construction, operations, manufacturing.
I greatly appreciate the opportunity. I hope everyone has a great day.
Hey folks, appreciate you taking the time to join us today. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with someone. Haven't subscribed yet? Do it now. Remember, if you want results, the key is increasing your awareness of how you show up.